This is a Spirit of Truth Radio Network original program.
Hey, 100,000 welcomes here. I'm Down the Hall Dave, and I'm really excited to introduce my guest today. It's three-time Grammy nominee Marty Rotella.
Hey Dave, how you doing? How you doing,
I'm,
gang?
I'm doing well, Marty.
Beautiful.
It's great. It's great to see you, even among the COVID problems that we're having. I appreciate you joining us along the way. I just want to say that St. Augustine said that when you sing, you pray twice. And for you, Marty, listening to your CDs, I understand what St. Augustine was saying. I had a nice opportunity about 6 years ago to meet you at a benefit for Father Bill McCarthy at my father's house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was introduced to your music. I had gotten a CD, and I actually fell in love with the music. I mean, it was so inspirational, and that's what I really want to talk to you about tonight. But I think in order for us to understand where your inspiration comes from today, we need to know where it came from in the past. So I'm just going to get out of the way and just let you tell your story.
Well, it's a long story. Just jump in if you have questions or you want to, interact. But
Sure.
My story goes back to when I was a kid. My family is a musical family. Everybody had to play the piano. We were forced by my father. I was a sports nut, so I didn't really want to play the piano. I wanted to go out and play baseball, football, and basketball. But he said, look, you got to practice every day, then you can go play sports. So I practiced every day. My brother was 7 years older than me, and he taught me, my knowledge of music. And when I got to about the age of 13, I was a little bored with the classical music. So I said to my brother, I said, I like singing. He goes, really? I said, yeah. So he goes, so I started singing. I would sing the classical music. I would do that. And he goes, why do you do that? I said, well, I like it. I don't know. It makes it a little more exciting. He goes, let me show you chords, but don't tell Dad. I'm going to show you chords, and then you can sing anything you want. Really? He showed me chords, and I went crazy, because then I could do something like this. Wise men say only fools rush in. Oh, man, this is awesome. So I got so excited. My friend opens the door, and he goes, what's this? And I said, Elvis? I was a wise guy. He said, wow. He goes, that's pretty good. I said, it is? He goes, yeah, would you like to come out with my band and sing? My father's band was my uncle's, my father, my brother, and they did, weddings, local things, and I said to my father, yeah, you're going to pay me? I was a wise guy. He goes, yeah, I'll pay you. I said, yeah, it sounds easy. He goes, learn 6 songs. So I learned 6 songs, and one of the first songs I sang in public was, I'll be there. I'll do like Michael Jackson. I'll be there. I'll be there. Just call my name. I'll be there. And I was 14 years old, so I had this high voice,
Mm-hmm.
and people just loved it. And I was like, oh boy, I'm getting paid for this, and people like me? This is too easy. And that's why I became a singer. And from there, I started loving the groups with horns, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Chicago, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, these guys, the production, their songs, the singers, I was like, I love this. And that's my heart. And that's what built, me to write music. When I was 18, I started writing. When I was 25, $2.2 million just to top. And I actually picked the house out. It was a $680,000 house back then in 1980. And it was a $3 million deal. I was 25, and I go, yeah, because all I wanted was fame, fortune, and money. And here it was. This is what I wanted. I sang the national anthem locally at all, the Knicks, I'm not the Knicks, I'm sorry, the Rangers, the Nets, the Devils. I was singing the national anthem.
My producer, Dave Imhoff, would have been envious of you on that one.
Oh, really? Oh,
Well,
I tell you, I love singing.
How about these guys?
No, the Jets they never brought me in. I would have loved to. And the Giants didn't either. The football guys didn't bring me in, or the baseball guys. So what can I tell you? But it was really interesting doing the national anthem. I tell you, I loved it. I got to meet the players and just, it was so awesome. But besides that, I was writing commercials at the time, too. Before I was 25 years old, I was writing commercials. Actually, Barry Manilow was writing commercials in a room next to me in the Pan Am building in New York. So I was really on the verge, sang in movies. The first movie I sang in was Friday the 13th. So I was right on the verge. And this contract.
What song in Friday the 13th did you sing?
Well, first of all, if you ever saw the movie, it opens up with campfire singing. That's me, my sister, a few other people. We're singing around the campfire, okay? It looks like the people there are, but they're not. Then there's a song in the movie. It was the theme song until Paramount bought it. And when they bought it, they took us out. They didn't want to pay us royalties. So, but it's in the movie. It's in small parts. It's called Sail Away, written by Harry Manfredini, our friend who did all the scoring for most of the Friday the 13th. And it's go on and sail away, tiny sparrow, spread your wings and fly to the sun. Beautiful song, beautiful. And the reason he wrote it was because it gets you like, oh wow, that's really beautiful. And then all of a sudden there's killings. It worked. So that's why it became one of the top slasher movies of all time. So after doing all of this, I get this contract, and my lawyer at the time was Billy Joel's lawyer. And what happened was he was too busy with Billy because Billy was hitting it with Just the Way You Are, and he was having #1 hits. So he gave my contract to this young kid out of college. And when he gave it to this young kid, we had a meeting, just a couple of days before the signing, and he says to me, "Wow," he says, "this is the best contract you could ever get." He said, "This is probably the best entertainment company in the world. They have 100% track record. Whoever signs with them makes it. And you're in, man. You're in. And you will open up for Bill Cosby in 6 months in Vegas." I said, "What?" "Yeah." So it was 6 months of training in Tahoe, and then I would have opened for Bill in Vegas. But what was interesting is, right after that, he said, "But," and that word like popped out, smacked me in the face like a Mike Tyson right, boom, "But, what do you mean, but?" And he said, "Well, some bad dudes own this company.
Really?
And they're gonna own you, and you're gonna have to do things you might not want to do." I said, "Like what?" He said, "Well, would you write music for X-rated films?" I said, "No, I won't do that. It disrespects women." See, I wasn't into God at this time. All I wanted was fame, fortune, and money. I wasn't even going to church or praying. I was totally focused on this. He goes, "Well," he says, "you're going to have to do it. They own the companies." And then I said, "Well, what if I don't?" Because I was a wise guy. He said, "Well," he says, "they'll never harm you. You're their equity. But they will harm your loved ones."
Oof.
What? He goes, "Yeah." So now I'm like, holy mackerel. I mean, so I ran home that night, and this is the night before the signing, and I said, "Dad, what do I do?" He says, "Call Uncle John." Now, my father's brother was, head of the music, one of the guys in the music union in LA at the time. He wrote for Sinatra, Dean Martin, Tony Bennett, Dorsey Band, Benny Goodman. So I called him. I said, "Uncle John, what do I do?" And he says, "I didn't fight in World War II for anybody to own a Rotella." That's my last name. He said, "But son, whatever you do, I love you. You're my nephew. I'll back you no matter what. Good luck." So then I hung up with him and I talked to my father. I said, "Dad, what about you?" He said, "I didn't fight in World War II for anybody to own a Rotella." He said the same thing. He didn't hear what I said, "That's what Uncle Johnny said." He goes, "Yeah, nobody owns us." He says, "But I'll back you. I love you. I'll die for you." I said, "Wow." And then my mother ran in. Now, the girls in my family they had no say in the music. It was my father, my brother, myself. But my mother said, "I have to interject." and she pulled out her rosary, you know, like this. Yeah, you guys can see this, eh? The rosary. And she said, I said, Ma, what's that? She said, it's the rosary. I said, yeah. And why are you showing me that? She goes, I've been praying this for you your whole life. What? What does it mean, Ma? She says, it means holding Mary's hand. What? Yeah, the rosary. Well, why would you hold Mary's hand, Ma? She said, because Mary stood at the foot of the cross. All his friends ran away. Not Mary. She stood right there. So I hold her hand and I stand there and I look up to Jesus and I say, Jesus, protect my son. What? You did that for me? Yep, every day. Wow. That was the most powerful thing I've ever heard. Now, my mother can cook, and I thought her cooking was superb, but this was like way above that. Ma, you did that for me? She said, yep. And then I knew I couldn't sign this contract. But I went to the signing the next day, and there the contract was on the table. We were in an Italian restaurant, Route 17, okay, New Jersey. And I stood up and I said, I don't think I'm going to sign this now. Maybe in the future we'll come up with another deal, but I don't think we can do this. Well, they were so mad, they picked up the table and they threw the table with all the food, the antipasto, onto me, my agent, my manager, and they walked out cursing us out. I was like, whoa. Now, my agent and my manager were mad. They wanted me to sign because they wanted to be a part of this and go to Vegas, you know, and start this whole career. And when they saw that, they said, wow, you made the right move. But why did I make the right move?
And how old were you at this point?
25.
25. Young man with.
Yeah. I just got married. I had just got married. My wife was pregnant with my son.
And you had it all in front of you.
Yeah. But why? It was my mother's prayer. And then she gave me to Mary. Mary, she was praying to Mary. So Mary took me and she brought me to Jesus because she doesn't bring it to her. She brought me to her son because I went home and I said, what do I do now? And then I thought of my mother praying for me and I'm saying, there must be something else then. But I don't know God. I better find out about him. So I started researching about God. And I researched all the religions of the world. I tried to reach everything. And then I realized, man, I got to come back to my Catholic faith because historically, I'm into history. That's correct. No other religion is historically correct because that starts with Adam and Eve and it's still going on. I said, there's something historically about this, but what's the difference between that and the Jewish faith? Because that's also historically correct. Jesus. I don't know him. So I bought a Bible and I fell in love with him. I read the 4 Gospels and I fell in love with this guy who was peaceful, yet strong, who was caring and compassionate and loving. I said, he's got to be real. This guy's awesome. Yeah. And I fell in love with him after reading the Bible. And then I said, I got to come back to the faith. So I came back, I went to confession and I came back. And the day I received Jesus in the Eucharist, the first time after I came back, I was 25, I knew he was there and I knew he was going to change me from my heart to my mind. And he did. So I go every day. It's 40 years now. I'm a daily communion. I go to mass every morning. And that's how I start my day. And everything I've done, my songwriting, my singing, my retreats, everything is because of Jesus, because of the Eucharist. That's my journey.
Your music must have changed quite a bit going from, secular type of music to more the Christian genre. But yet, I don't think you fall into that your music is not your typical gospel or Christian music. It's definitely Catholic. It shares a lot. I sense the suffering in some of your songs, but it's always with hope and power of the Spirit. And that's really what kind of moved me towards your music when I first met you. And then I think it was maybe one of your first albums was about Divine Mercy.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Was that the first one?
Yeah, that's the most prayerful.
Yes.
That's the most prayerful, because we came out of the secular world, but we really didn't. I'll tell you why. You see, I love secular music. I just love pop music. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I don't even listen to Christian music. I only listen to a little bit, but I listen to pop music. I keep up. And when I produce something, I don't produce it to be like something. Like, I don't produce a country song the way they're producing country. I don't produce a gospel song like they're producing gospel. I don't produce contemporary Christian like a contemporary Christian. I don't produce rock the way rock. I produce whatever I feel, you see? And that I get a lot from. I love secular music, just love it. And I love 70s music, 70s. But of course, I love everything now today too. I listen to, Bruno Mars, all that stuff. But, Post Malone. But my big thing is 70s, and that's in me. And people say, well, you're 64. I said, no, I put out 20 CDs. I'm on another one now, my 21st one. Just keeps going. People of all ages love it because it's coming real from my heart. When I write these songs and when I produce them, it's not what people want to hear or what I think or a certain genre. It's whatever I'm feeling here, and that's the Eucharist. See, if I receive Jesus every day, he's going to write the songs through me, and then the whole theme comes, all right, for the whole CD, and he's going to also show me how to produce it, what musicians come on board, what could we add here. My guitar player right now is one of the guitarists for Styx. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, these guys, I bring them in, and I just say, look, what do you think you can add here? And these guys are just full of the greatest musicianship. And when you let them go, yeah, that's perfect. That's great. And they feel me. See, that's what I love about the guys I work with. They all feel me. And as they feel me, you're hearing that,
Yep. Marty, what's the difference between inspiration and where does the inspiration come from? I mean, you're so spirit-filled and centered and oriented, but what's the difference between, your inspiration and your creativity, say?
Okay, let me just take you through a very quick journey of a day. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I try to do is go to Mass. At Mass, I receive Jesus, okay? Then I kind of go into a little adoration, meditation. In that, now let's say that's early in the morning, 7:30, 8, in the morning. Now, as I take that in, I go into my heart, see, because he lives here. He lives in my heart. Once I receive him, he lives here. The soul is the center of our heart. So I connect with him. And as I connect with him, I'm shown, hey, I've written over 4,300 songs. I didn't want to write one of them. It's all because of him. And I just, oh, wow, what's this? Let me write that down. And I start writing it down. You see? Now, and I see how maybe 9 songs in a month were written. And I see some type of theme. Something's going on here. And then I look at, how fast the song will be produced, slow. And I look at it, I say, wow, this is, so the inspiration starts with God himself and me listening in my heart. It continues with my brother. My brother's very spiritual, so he's my producer. So he helps. And then we come together, and all of a sudden we see something growing. We see the song. I have a lyric consultant, Mike Lobel, great guy we've known for 40 years. He takes my lyrics. He gets them pinpointed, better than I can write. I'm not a great lyricist. So he writes, he pinpoints my lyrics. Then we get to the point of how we're going to produce it, what musicians we're going to bring in, what's their ideas. And boy, the inspiration's easy because we're listening to God in our heart and we allow him to bring us there. People might say, that's crazy. We don't, no, it's not. I was a school teacher for 31 years before I retired 13 years ago in full-time ministry. And even when I taught, did the same thing. Go into my heart. What can I teach today? What's going to happen? How do I help this child? Do I call the parents in? And God shows you, but you got to be connecting with him. And if you're not, if he's last on the list, a lot of people get up in the morning and they say, I got to do this, I got to go there, I got to do this, I got to do that. and then maybe God at the end go, hey, God, thanks for today, and I go to sleep.
Mhm.
No, I start with him, and then I make sure he's part of the whole day. That's my inspiration. It's not, people, it's inspiration versus perspiration.
Right.
It's
Yep.
much easier. Yeah.
This new CD that you came out with, Father Cry.
Mm-hmm.
This is, as I said, I love your music, but this is your Gospel of John
Praise
CD.
God. Thank you.
This one soars. It's hard to say what genre it actually falls into because it's so diverse. I mean, your first song, Father Cry, there's like African drums in this, and it just the young lady that sings for you and that just does a magnificent job.
Kim Fuller, yeah. Kim.
Yeah. How did you come up with the title Father Cry?
Well, I was in Trinidad, and I was asked to go down to be a speaker at the Divine Mercy of Jesus conference in Trinidad. Mm-hmm. I had a few hours off, so I went to the chapel where nobody was, and the windows were open, the trees were swaying, the birds were chirping outside. I was the only one in this chapel, and I can hear the birds reverbing. They were, but it was reverbing through the church, and I said, "Oh, what a sound!" So I saw two congas over by the organ. So I ran over by the congas and I started to play them, and I heard the reverb of the congas, and then the birds chirping, and then I closed my eyes and I just started to go, Father, and it reverbed through the whole church. It was unbelievable. I was going crazy. It was so awesome. So I recorded it on my phone. I went back home to Jersey. I played it for my brother, played it for my friend Christine, and everybody loved it. And they said, "Hey, this is a song. We got to work on this." So I worked on it with Christine, and we came up with this whole song, Father Cry. At the same time, I read about 5 to 6 books a week. So what I was reading, and I believe that comes from God too. What I was reading was about Jesus teaching us that the Father is everything. That's all he talked about. He always talked about the Father, Father. And then when I said, how do we pray? Our Father, see? What do? Love God, the Father, with your whole mind, body, and soul. So I said, wow, this is so important, the Father. So then I read in Scripture that the Father cries to us, but then we cry, like Jesus, to him. So that's why we named it Father Cry. He cries to us, we cry to him. Now, we put a lot of songs together that have to do with God the Father, like May the Lord bless you and keep you, which is a prayer going back to the Old Testament from God the Father. This is unbelievable. It's a blessing of God the Father. And I'm saying, wow, the song The Master is about God in my heart. So I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then Palm Sunday this year, I was in the church parking lot facing the church, doing the Mass on my phone, and I hear in my heart, produce the CD now and get it out to my people because they need it. They've been in the house too long. They need me. So I called everybody. I said, look, get 1,000 produced, and I'm getting them out. So I sent out about 250 all across the country, and people are loving it, and it's helping them come out of this pandemic, And now the next CD is already. We have the songs ready to go, and that's about hope, because we need the hope. And 6 of the songs, half of the songs were actually written during the pandemic. So this is exciting. We just keep going. But thank you, Dave. Thank you.
That's great. I'm telling you, Marty, it's so hard to pick a favorite song, but off of this CD. But It Is Love, your 5th track, really, really speaks to me.
Wow, thank you.
Just absolutely love this CD. Where can people go to get this if they want to?
They can go to my website. The website is spiritpowermusic.org. Okay, so spiritpowermusic.org. And if you go there, you can see the CD. You can pick it up. There's songs. Everything's there. Yeah.
Is it going to be available eventually on Apple Music or something? Because I know a lot of your other stuff is.
Yeah, we're out there. we're out there. CD Baby takes care of us and gets us to all those, iTunes, everything. It'll be available, but I don't know if it's available yet. That's why if you go to the website, it's already available. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
What as we begin to wrap this up, Marty, you're such a talented singer-songwriter. There are young kids out there that are looking for people to give them inspiration. Got any advice for somebody who wants to do Catholic music?
Yeah. Here's the advice, Dave. I did it myself. And that's my advice. And they say, what? Yeah. Because when you're out there, remember, I was running my music all through New York City. That's why I was a school teacher, because school teaching ends at 3. I used to run into New York City and try to sell my music, see? But every door closes. It's almost impossible. I mean, I did have the best breaks and got there, but it was impossible. Same with Catholic music, same with Christian. It's the same. It's so hard. So I tell everybody, if you really believe in yourself, do it yourself. Well, how can I do it? I need money. No, you don't. Because all you need is to record it. Today with the recordings, it's so simple. You can do them on your phone. You can do them on a computer at your house. It's so simple. So that's where you start. You don't have to spend any money. Just start doing, write a song. All right, have somebody look at it. Make sure you copyright the song, because once it gets out there, it can get stolen. Philippines, Australia, Mexico. People there have stolen my music, and they made tons of money on it. So the key here is you can't keep track of everything going on. So you have to copyright it, so we make sure. So once you copyright it, and then do a video. Send it out. Send it out to your friends. Hit it to Facebook. I'm telling you, that's how things happen. And that's what I tell people. Do it yourself. To sing, it's very hard because the Catholic world doesn't have like Christians concerts. So that's what we need. We need that. We really need people to be able to sing it somewhere. I sing at conferences. I do my own retreats. See, the retreats is what really works. I put music into my retreats, and that's what I do mostly. I do a lot of benefit concerts. I work for the Navajo Nation in New Mexico. So I do a lot of prison ministry. All right. So you got to start by do it for free. Go out and sing for free. Sing in church. Write the music. Record it on your phone. Just do it yourself. And I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. Everybody's looking to. Somebody has to find me. Somebody has to notice me. I have to try to get through that door and convince somebody. No, that's another way. But the way to do it is do it yourself.
One thing that Catholic music versus Christian music, it has suffering in there, which I mentioned about your music. Christian music, as a rule, is just very overproduced and very by the numbers today. And I like your approach of staying true to the pop music and classics. I think maybe if we could get more kids to come out of that, creativity and find the inspiration in God, we could really, really start getting some great Catholic music as opposed to just the Christian.
Yeah, you hit a good point. First of all, people have to know the difference between Catholic music and Christian music. Christian music is like a contemporary sound. It's a certain sound, and that's great. Catholic music, there's a problem because there's liturgical Catholic music. That's at the Mass. That's in the church. And then there's, like me, people who write music that tells stories or, devotions or whatever. All right. So the key here is you got to remember that there's a little difference. I like to be true to yourself. That's the key. Don't try to. I remember one guy one day, he said to me, he said, man, that's a great song. He said, you should try to record that like the Disney sound. What? I said, what? The Disney sound? What do you mean the Disney sound? Yeah, he goes, like Disney music, like in the movies, they have that same sound, the Disney movies, the soundtrack. I said, no, I'm gonna record it the way I feel like. I'm not gonna record it like anybody else. So be true to your heart. You know, and it doesn't have, if you want to do liturgical music to church, that's a certain way because it has to be reverent. If you want to just do like I do, yeah, you can get into any, I mean, I do Latin, I do Jamaican, I do rock, you know, I do even disco. I still like disco sound. You know, it's weird, but it works still. I mean, Bruno Mars has a great sound. So the thing is be true to yourself, your heart. Yeah.
Do you remember the song "Fool If You Think It's Over"?
Fool if you think it's over. Yeah, I remember that.
That was written by a gentleman named Chris Rea. He's a British songwriter, slide guitarist.
Right.
He wrote a lot of pop songs back in the 70s and like real early 80s. I think it was later on, like right around 2000 or something, he had pancreatic cancer and he survived it. And he did an interview and he said, I wrote music for the music companies and I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to write the stuff that I want to play and I'm going to record it the way I want to record it. Well, since that time, he's come out with a number of CDs and it's been his best work. Yeah. When he was true to himself, when the artist wrote from his heart, it's always much better than, you know, just falling into some sort of a you know, pigeonhole or you know.
Yeah, Dave, you're free. I mean, everybody wants freedom. You're free when you do that. It's awesome. Yeah.
Well, Marty, I hope you keep writing like you're doing. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, my friend.
Again, it's Father Cry, and it's available at Spirit Power. And go to Marty's website. Those will be in the show notes.
Spirit Power Music. Spirit Power Music.
And I'll make sure I have those in the show notes. Marty Rotella, thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Dave. God bless everybody out there. You're awesome.
Hey, Marty, may your troubles be less, your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness come through your door. Take that from me.
Oh, man, I love it. Thank you, my friend.
God bless you, man. Take care,
Ciao.
Marty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.